So India started the CAFA Nations Cup. It was the first time they were participating in this tournament with a lot of fanfare. That is because they started by beating a team like Tajikistan, ranked higher than them, a team that was in form, a team that had done very well at the Asian Cup as well. And India upset them in their very first game. So that's how well the tournament started for India, and it was being hailed as a new start, a beginning of a new era under new coach Khalid Jamil. But from there on, it's been a bit of a downward slide for the Indian team. I'm not saying they've ended the tournament, because even now they could still be alive in this tournament. I'll explain that a little later. But first, let's deal with the downward slide that I'm talking about. They lost to Iran soon after that, 3-0. That again wasn't a shocker, because Iran, remember, is a much higher ranked team. They're ranked 20th in the world. India, sitting at 130 odd. So there was a big gulf between the two teams. And India was still complimented for that game, because they played very hard. For majority of the game, they were almost matching Iran, playing a defensive sort of a game, but they still did give a good account of themselves, barring the last 10-15 minutes where they just allowed Iran to run riot. But still, you knew that that was a result that was coming, and Indian fans digested it. This 0-0 that they've achieved in their final group game against Afghanistan is going to be a bitter pill for all Indian football fans to swallow, because remember, now India are the much higher ranked side. There's almost a 30 rank difference between India and Afghanistan. So in that sense, you're much higher ranked. Secondly, overall as well, you've enjoyed much more success over this team. You've won 7 times in the 13 encounters that you've played, and Afghanistan only have 2 wins to show. And then you finish 0-0. And then what makes matters worse, you could still have a 0-0 and yet compliment the team if you end up playing a good game of football. Unfortunately, that is not what was displayed by India. In fact, I'll go so far as to say that India can count themselves lucky to have finished this game 0-0, because the best chances in this game came to Afghanistan. More shots on goal, Afghanistan had that. Few good saves by Gurpreet Sandhu. Otherwise, it could have been Afghanistan that would have been leading. And might I add, in the 71st minute, the best chance of the match also went to Afghanistan. And here, even the keeper couldn't have saved them, because it was right in front of the goal. It was the crossbar that really saved the Indian team. Otherwise, that was also a sure shot goal. Look at the possession overall, 60-40 in favor of Afghanistan, and you don't expect that versus a team that's ranked much lower than you. So that's why I said the performance of this Indian team has left a lot to be desired. Now, one can understand the approach that Khalid Jamil would have had, and you saw the Indian team play the first half with a complete defensive mindset. I think the approach was that for India, even a draw would suffice in that sense, and offered them the best opportunity of playing the third place match in this tournament. Top place is out of contention. That Iran is already there. They're going to be playing the match, the final, for the first 2 spots, but the third place playoff is the best that Indian team could target. So a draw would have also taken them. I think that was the approach. That's why India started off defensively, because if you lost this game versus Afghanistan, then your chances of playing the third place playoff would have been all but over. So I think that was the approach, which is why India started with that approach of being defensive. Second half, they opened up a bit, thinking that, okay, we played the first half without conceding, let's try and get a goal there. But even there, India did not even have a single shot on target in the entire 95-96 minutes that were played between the two teams. And as I said, that is something for the Indian team to ponder over. Also, defensive mindset is understandable when you're playing a much superior team, where you sit back and just wait for a counter attack. Did you need to have that approach against Afghanistan? I don't think the Indian fans would agree. You would rather have bet on this Indian team, relied on their players so that they attack, score a few goals. So what if you end up losing? At least that's the approach that the fans would have liked. Anyway, that's not how the game has panned out. Despite not a great performance, as I said, they still have a great chance of playing the third place playoff. How will that happen? They'll have to wait for the final game of their group. That is between Iran and Tajikistan. If Tajikistan are to draw that game or win that game, then India will be eliminated and Tajikistan will play that third place playoff from India's group. But if Tajikistan are to lose, which the chances are the highest, because Iran is of course clearly the best team in the group, and if Iran play according to their form and the pedigree that they have, then they should beat Tajikistan, in which case then India will end up playing the third place playoff. So we'll have to wait and watch for how that game pans out, and then India will get a chance to play that, and that probably will then offer Khalid Jamil and his Indian team to come back with something as a gain from this tournament. If that is not to happen, if Tajikistan draw or beat Iran, India's campaign comes to an end, and if it does come to an end at this stage, I think it would not be a satisfactory campaign. I'd have to classify it as below par, but as I said, we'll still have to wait and watch for that game to happen, and then we can have a conclusive word on how India has performed in this tournament. Do give us a like if you're enjoying our content, and as always, for more sports related content, don't forget to subscribe to Sports Today.